Well, hello everybody. Sally Dolan here from Quilt Supplies for You, and we're back today to show you two-seam continuous binding. Now, a lot of people cut bias binding strip after strip and stitch them together, but not us. So if you'll hold on for a second, I'll move and we'll show you exactly what to do. Alright, let's do some two-seam continuous binding the easy way. This is a strip ticket we usually have on our website. It gives you all the instructions for how you do this procedure. So even after I've shown it to you, you will forget it, I guarantee it. But you can look back at this little ticket and it'll remind you of what you need to do. On the other side, there's listings for the size squares you need. It'll tell you how many inches you're going to figure the distance around your quilt, plus about 10 to 12 inches. That's for corners and seaming the thing at the final end, and how wide you want your bias strip to be. So that'll tell you how big of a strip you need. And I've got this little dot on here just to help me remember that at 2.5 I'm going to end up with about a 3/8 inch finished binding. So what you do is you start off by cutting yourself a square of fabric. Got your selvages here. You're going to cut across the diagonal. That's the bias. Then when you've done that, you take the bottom piece, you bring it to the top, and you position the pieces so that when you sew your 1/4 inch, the intersection is perfect. Now that may not be perfect, but just for the idea, you're going to sew across here, and I'm going to show you how to do that on the sewing machine. So if you'll go with me, we'll go to the sewing machine. Alright, now you're wondering how we went from pink fabric to red fabric, but what we're doing here is setting the seam to make sure we do a 1/4 inch seam. And this little gadget is just something I stumbled on and I dearly love. It's called a prep tool, and it's made by Guidelines for Quilting. And what you do is you set the edge of your fabric. This one I happen to have a folded edge, and I've got my needle down just a little bit, maybe just a little too much, and I'm going to bring the crook of this tool right up so that it's touching in the corner there. I want the material to come up even along the edge, right along like it shows in this picture here. And then I know that if I put my fabric so it lines up with the groove in this foot, that I will end up with a perfect scant 1/4 inch. That's like a 1/4 inch minus a thread. So that's what we've done with that, and I use that red thread just to show you how that works. Now here is a larger piece of what we were doing before. I'm going to line these little goodies up, so I've got the 1/4 inch, and this is too much, so I'll back her up a hair. There we go. Line it up on the line on my machine, and off we go. Now, one of the reasons I'm using this machine is that I want to show you that you don't need the best. This machine happens to be the oldest machine I have, and it was bought when my oldest daughter was a tiny baby, and she's now 40. So you can just use what you have. If it's a straight stitch machine for quilting, that's really all you need. We're going to put our seam in here, and then while we're changing positions, I'll run over to the iron and press the seam open and show you the next step.